Neighbors of Reddit, what's the creepiest thing your neighbor did that made sense years later? For years, I was convinced my neighbor was burying something in the woods every single night. When I finally learned the truth, I wished I'd never judged him at all. I grew up in a quiet suburban neighborhood outside Columbus, Ohio, where everyone knew everyone, except the old man who lived next door. He kept to himself, barely waved, and never joined neighborhood cookouts or block parties. Kids avoided his yard, and adults always seemed to lower their voices whenever his name came up. When I was about 13, I started noticing something strange. Almost every night, right around 2 a.m., I'd wake up for no reason and glance out my bedroom window. Without fail, I'd see him step out his back door carrying a flashlight and a small shovel. He'd walk across his yard and disappear into the woods behind our neighborhood. An hour later, he'd come back. His boots were always covered in fresh mud. After seeing it happen over and over, I couldn't stop thinking about it. Soon the rumors spread. One neighbor joked that he was probably burying bodies. Another swore they heard strange digging noises deep in the woods. Nobody ever had proof, but nobody had another explanation either. Every time I saw him quietly cleaning his muddy boots on the porch before sunrise, I became more certain something terrible was hidden out there. Then, a few years later, he passed away. While his house was being cleaned out, his daughter came by. My mom offered to help, and I overheard her telling someone why her father spent every night in those woods. Decades earlier, before I was even born, he had been a volunteer search and rescue tracker. His young son wandered into those same woods and disappeared without a trace. Despite massive search efforts, they never found him. His father never stopped looking. For almost 20 years, every single night, he returned to those woods with nothing more than a flashlight, a shovel for clearing old brush or checking disturbed ground, and hoped that maybe, just maybe, he'd find one clue that everyone else had missed. The muddy boots, the silent walks, the sadness on his face. Suddenly, every strange thing I'd ever seen made perfect sense. I still think about him whenever people jump to the worst conclusion, because sometimes what looks like evil is really just grief carrying a flashlight through the dark.